Okay, today's beer comes to us from Ithaca, New York, Ithaca Brewing Company. And of course, we did their Flower Power IPA. May have done one or two other ones from them, but I think we only did their Flower Power. Not totally positive, but pretty darn close. Anyway, this is their Berliner-Weisse style beer, which is a style that we have not done yet. It is called Cayuga Cruise Weisse, or Cruiser, I should say. Although the label only says Cruiser, so maybe it was called Cayuga Cruiser, and then they just took out the Cayuga. So it's Cruiser Berliner Style Weisse Ale. And I was reprimanded on YouTube about pronouncing W's as V's when you're talking about the German beers. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go Weisse, not Weiss or Weisse, Weisse. This is a 4.2% ABV Berliner Weisse beer. It is usually a lower ABV style. Some of them can go as low as like 2%, as a matter of fact, barely alcohol in it. This one's a little above 4, so it goes into that American adjunct kind of range usually. It gets an 80 on Beer Advocate, which is pretty good for this style. It gets a 63 on Rate Beer, which is okay for this style. It's supposed to be served in what's called a bowl glass. I'm not talking about like a cereal bowl, obviously. It's a shorter, rounder kind of glass. I've never seen one that I know of. I don't know where to get it, other than probably looking online for it, which I haven't done. And I just didn't feel like it was a big enough deal to go out and hunt down the glass. But I wouldn't reject a glass like that for this style of beer. Never did this style. I had one Berliner Weisse before once in my life, and I wasn't a huge fan. It was a little too fruity for me, but we will see how this one is. As far as the style goes, a top fermented style, bottle-conditioned wheat beer made with both traditional warm fermented yeasts and lactobacillus culture. Rapid vanishing head and clear pale gold color. So we should get a head that just goes away really quickly. Served in wide bulbous stemmed glasses. Tourists in Berlin, order this style of beer red with a raspberry syrup or green with a green syrup to make it more palatable. When you gotta add stuff to make things more palatable, it may not be tasty to begin with. I don't have any red or green, and I think there's an Americanized version of the beer, so I don't think that applies to this. So we're going to pour into this Poco glass from Victory, which I haven't poured a beer into in a long, long time. They call this their Summer Refresher beer. So as we pour it into this long glass, we see a very light, crisp kind of looking pour here. And there's that head. We'll see how quickly that dissipates. Very light beer, American adjunct, maybe a little bit of a more of a haze than you usually get with American adjuncts, and the crispness just, yep, there it goes, exactly as advertised. The head of that beer just completely disappeared right now. See a lot of bubbles, aroma, very, very light apple kind of smell to this. Extremely light, maybe a dry apple kind of smell. Hint of wheat, maybe. Just a very, very subtle beer. Head is basically completely gone. It sounds like it's soda. It actually kind of looks like Canada Dry or some kind of ginger ale, 7-Up maybe. I'm definitely getting that, carbonation that you get from soda. I almost feel like I should be putting ice cubes in this. So let's get the taste now of Ithaca Cayuga Cruiser Berliner Style Weisse beer. Weisse, sorry. Definitely like a lambic tart kind of taste to this, with a very dry aftertaste is what I'm getting. The apple is really prevalent. I don't even know if they use apple in the making of this. I didn't really see any notes on the label of the beer, nor did I see anything online about specifics with any apple kind of additive to this. Very appley, almost like a dry hard cider. where hard ciders taste a little more full with a luscious apple kind of taste. This is a little more, way more dry, very, very dry. Not my style of beer. I remember having it once, not this particular beer, but one of the style, and just not being a big fan of the style. This is not my style, so I'm going to try to rate this in collusion with those who may, or in keeping in mind those may like this style. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a 6.5 out of 10. And the reason I am doing so is because appearance-wise, holds true to the style. It's a little light. Head disappears quickly. Carbonation is pretty prevalent. Effervescence is really up there. Maybe a little less effervescent would be a little better. Too dry on the finish. And not really getting much of a wheat taste. It's supposed to be conditioned wheat beer. I'm not really getting too much of a wheat taste. I'm getting a little more dry and just a very kind of blasé kind of taste to it. Not bad, but not the greatest. And I would only imagine that there's better Berliner-Weisse beers out there. So 6.5 out of 10 for Ithaca Cruiser Weisse.